and welcome to another episode of Historically Marked. I am Jason, and I am at pretty much the heart of the Great Smoky Mountains National Park, literally at the Tennessee and North Carolina state line. There's lots of markers to show you, so I'm just going to quit talking and go from here. So just keep in mind there is a big parking area here, so yeah, please feel free to park and just look around, take part of the nature and scenery by all means. Alright, so this is designated as a UNESCO site, in other words, a United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization. You can read more on that one. There is also another plaque, and that's somebody revving up their motorcycle, of course. So over here is another one. This pretty much certifies that it was designated as a World Heritage Site. On December 6, 1983, this is one of 24 at the moment, and I did one on Cahokia Mounds at Monk's Mound, but so now I've done two as part of this series. There's some many markers here. This here is a mountain sanctuary, and many of these National Park Service markers are prominent throughout this area, obviously because it's a national park. But it is a sanctuary. I mean, it's no wonder it is the largest, or the most visited park here in the United States. I really thought that title went to Yellowstone or Grand Canyon or Yosemite, but nope, it's right here in the Smoky Mountains. This is one of the few places in the eastern United States where animal populations can live, propagate, and die with relatively little influence from humans. And down here it says these mountains have also become a refuge for humans. I mean, definitely. A natural area like this benefits people far beyond the simple pleasure of being in an unspoiled forest. It provides clean water, diversity of life, and many have called the Great Smokies a living laboratory, providing a standard to help monitor the health of the world's environment. And I know I said this in one of my previous episodes, but yeah, you know why they call them the Smoky Mountains. We were driving through a cloud earlier on the way over here. It was quite a thrill. Here's one titled Land of Diversity. Few places in North America sustain a greater variety of life than the Great Smoky Mountains. The forests, streams, and meadows here support more than 100 types of native trees, over 50 kinds of fish, 1,500 flowering plants, and more than 240 bird species. And we saw some elk on the way over here, but we have not yet seen any bears. I don't know if that's a good or bad thing, but such abundance is a function of topography and climate. And varying elevations provide endless combinations of moisture, temperature, wind, sunlight, and soil types. And most plant species of eastern North America can find a niche somewhere along the slopes and coves of the Smokies. This pretty much just is about the nature part of it. And here we get a better view. Oh man, like I said in my previous video, man, you gotta love this kind of thing, because you know you can't get it back home, or at least not from where I'm from. This one is about the people of the mountains. The rugged terrain of the Smoky Mountains determine patterns of human settlement. Residents of the Smokies by the native Cherokees or European immigrants and their descendants gravitated to valleys or coves. Settlement was confined to areas far less rugged than what you see here. And one of the greatest complications or problems facing those who lived in these mountains was finding land that would sustain them. That would be more of a challenge if you ask me. But yes, Cades Cove, my sister and her family went there today. Unfortunately, I'll have to go there some other time. These are the Walker sisters of Little Greenbrier, removing seeds from cotton from using a gin their father made. This is somebody making barrels. And this is a Cherokee mother and her daughter, circa 1888. And unfortunately, most Cherokees were forced westward along the Trail of Tears in 1838. But a few remained, and a small reservation today surrounds the town of Cherokee, and that one is one we just passed through. Really nice community, by the way. This marker is entitled Land of Blue Smoke. Well, I guess you can imagine it that way. The Cherokee described these mountains as Shekinah, meaning blue like smoke. A smoke-like natural bluish haze and mist-like clouds that rise following a rainstorm, providing the inspiration for the name Smoky Mountains. And here's the part where it talks about air pollution. Comes to the Smokies from sources both far and near. Here are markers on the Newfound Gap, so named because of the time its purported discovery in the 1850s. It was the newest transversal gap in the mountains. It is the only direct route through the Great Smoky Mountains. This one talks about the Great Smokies and how they're scenic, diverse, culturally rich. The scenic views are well known, lesser known as the abundance of life. The Smokies' rugged topography creates a diversity of species found in few other places in North America. And the Smokies' rich human heritage includes the Cherokee, decades of mountain culture, and a unique national park story. And yes, to best experience the Smokies, you must leave your car. Walk the trails, visit historic sites, and enjoy the sanctuary that is this park. And this one talks about the Civilian Conservation Corps, which was formed by President Franklin Delano Roosevelt during the Great Depression. 4,300 men worked here, building roads, campgrounds, trails, and buildings. Their work remains an important part of the fabric of Great Smoky Mountains National Park. And again, this is pretty much what I just talked about. The CCC was one of the first federal job programs to lift the nation out of the Great Depression. And Roosevelt declared their work of moral and spiritual value not only to those taking part, but to the rest of the country as well. Here's some of the pictures of them on the marker. And each was commanded by an army officer. Okay, that I didn't know. Here I thought I knew a lot about CCC. All right, I'm not going to go really high on top of that, but I will kind of look at it from the bottom. This is in commemoration of 50 years of excellence in conservation, restoration, and enjoyment. Presented June 15th, 1984, the golden anniversary of the Great Smoky Mountains National Park. And up there, for the permanent enjoyment of the people. I'll go up closer to that one. Here's another interesting one on the way up there. The Appalachian Trail. You are standing alongside the Appalachian Trail, one of the longest continuous footpaths in the world. The trail winds more than 2,150 miles through 14 states. I mean, this doesn't begin here, but it does begin in Georgia, around Atlanta, and ends in Maine, in the central part of the state. Hiking the trail is not easy, and neither was building it. Well, I sure hope not. Here in the Smokies, during the 1930s, hundreds of CCC workers cut rock, felled trees, and built shelters, shaping the path that extends like a narrow ribbon from Georgia to Maine. That pretty much says where I'm at. Yep. Now, I'm not going to go up there for time constraints, but I will get a little closer to that sign. And the whole point and purpose of national parks is for the permanent enjoyment of the people. This park was given one half by the people and states of North Carolina and Tennessee, and by the United States of America, and in one half in memory of Laura Spelman Rockefeller by the Laura Spelman Rockefeller Memorial, founded by her husband John D. Rockefeller. All right. Thanks so much for tuning into this episode of Historically Marked. I am Jason. On the Tennessee and North Carolina state line in the Great Smoky Mountains National Park. This is Historically Marked, signing off.